There are so many top 10 sci-fi book lists across the internet. Usually it's a personal taste on some of their favorite sci-fi books, but today I thought we would look at the sci-fi series that I see most recommended. The sci-fi books that just consistently come up as recommendations. Because if they're recommended that much, surely there must be something there. So let's look at the 10 ultimate must-read sci-fi books of all time. First up on this list, we have Dune by Frank Herbert. Now, this is a sci-fi classic and often called one of the greatest works in the sci-fi genre. And with the recent adaptation to a movie, multiple movies actually, it's really shot up in popularity again just recently. And in this book, we follow the Atreides family. In particular, we follow Paul Atreides. And he is the son of a duke. And at the start of this book, this family moves to this planet called Arrakis. And Arrakis is really known for this very rare material called spice. And this very valuable material then kind of sets off this political maneuvering to try and take control of this very valuable resource. It's very political, there's a lot of moving factors to it, and we have a lot of interesting themes with prophecy. And of course, we have giant sandworms, the most iconic thing in Dune in my opinion. And probably the one that most people know from pop culture. But this book is always recommended. It is hugely popular. Loads of people love this book. It is part of a series. A lot of people just read the first book. But as the series goes on, it gets weirder and weirder. It's definitely one to check out. Next on up, we have Hyperion by Dan Simmons. Now, this is a hugely iconic book in the sci-fi space as well. It is known as a classic. It's often referred to as the Canterbury Tales, but in space. And it follows multiple different characters, and we kind of get a bit of each one's story that all kind of comes together in this overarching narrative of this group of people trying to find out the secrets of the universe itself. It's known for having some really interesting themes, as well as being very character driven, which is a wee bit more rare with older sci-fi books. Usually they're more plot or theme driven. However, you do get books like this that are more character driven. Next on up, we have the Sun Eater series, starting up with Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. Now, this is a lot more of a modern sci-fi series, but it has really blown up recently, especially with the final book coming out as of the filming of this month. And this series has really just skyrocketed into being majorly popular over the last couple years. And in this series, we follow Hadrian Marlowe. And at the start of the first book, you find out that Hadrian Marlowe blows up a sun, taking out an entire race. It is quite the opening. And from there, we zoom right back to him being a young man growing up in this palace on this planet with this kind of tyrannical father, and it's his adventure to get to that point where he blew up this sun. This is a space opera epic. It covers lots of different planets. We cover a huge amount of time. It does last over hundreds and hundreds of years. It has some really interesting philosophical ideas throughout the narrative as well. And yeah, it's just a great read. Next on up, we have the Hitchhikers Guide to the Galaxy. Going back to a classic, this is a short comedic sci-fi story that's very bizarre and absurdist, and it really is just a ton of fun. And this follows Arthur Dent on just a random Thursday afternoon when his house is demolished, and then shortly after he finds out that the entire Earth is going to be destroyed for an intergalactic highway. Yep, that's the setup. And there starts this adventure of Arthur just trying to survive this very strange situation that he's found himself in. Despite the fact that this is absurdist and a very funny book, there is some really interesting ideas with kind of our meaning in life and such, just kind of weaved in a little bit. It's definitely meant as more of a comedy, just a fun short book, but it definitely has some of those themes weaved in as well. Next on up, we have The Hunger Games by Susanna Clarke. Now, this one blew up when it released. It has become one of the biggest sci-fi series and fantasy series of all time. Kind of sits on the line between the two. I'm considering it more sci-fi for this list. But this is one of the series that really blew up the idea of this battle royale type situation. The original idea is from a book called Battle Royale, so it wasn't Hunger Games that created it, but it definitely popularized this setup in fantasy and sci-fi. As we follow Katniss Everdeen, who's brought into this TV show game that she has to try and survive in. This is an incredibly popular series, and it just blew up to even more higher levels with the movie adaptations as well. Not to mention the more recent resurgence of this series being brought up on the online communities with the newest book that is a sequel book to the entire series. Next one up, we have Foundation by Isaac Asimov. Now, this is known as being one of the greatest sci-fi series of all time. It is a classic, it's iconic, it's referred to as a masterpiece from so many people who have read and loved it. There is a recent adaptation, but I have heard that the adaptation is very different from the novels itself, but it's definitely brought more recent conversation to these books again, which is quite nice. The Galactic Empire has prospered for 12,000 years. Nobody suspects that the heart of the thriving empire is rotten, until psychohistorian Harry Seldon uses his new science to foresee its terrible fate. Exiled to the desolate planet Terminus, Seldon establishes a colony of the greatest minds in the Empire, a foundation which holds the key to changing the fate of the galaxy. However, the death throes of the Empire breed hostile new enemies, and the young Foundation's fate will be threatened first. These books are known for being quite dense. They are very short, however, and yeah, they're icons in the genre. Next on up, we come back to more modern sci-fi with Red Rising. Now, this series blew up. Now, this is another modern series that just seemed to catch an audience and really blew up to stratospheric levels of popularity. And we follow Darrow, who is a Red, which means he is of the lowest class in the social hierarchy, because in this world we have different levels of status and each have their own color. The top being gold, the bottom being red, but also multiple colors in between as well. And driven by revenge, Darrow wants to fight back against this system. This is a 7-book series, and currently there are 6 books out, the last being Lightbringer. However, the final book, Red God, I believe is scheduled for a 2026 release. So if you're not checked it out, it's definitely a good time to hop into this series. Next on up, we have Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is another one where if you're in the sci-fi space, this will appear all over the place. This is such a popular book. And in this series, Earth is decaying and dying, and the human race need to find a way to escape. So they luckily find this, what they consider an Eden, a planet that is already terraformed for human life. However, of course, it sounds too good to be true, because it is. Now, this is one I don't want to go too much into the details because I think it's a really good book to just read. And this is an incredibly popular trilogy and definitely a must read of the genre. Next on up, we have 1984 by George Orwell. A book written in 1948, George Orwell was predicting this terrifying future, and despite the fact that the year has passed, it's a really chilling prophecy. We follow Winston Smith, who has to rewrite the history for this Ministry of Truth to kind of fool the public. It's this terrifying world where the government is very tyrannical and monitors absolutely everything. And it was a huge inspiration for a lot of sci-fi writers and governments. It's most certainly a must-read in the genre. And it is quite short as well, so if you want to just fit it in between longer reads, highly recommend it. And last but most certainly not least, we have the Expanse series by James S.A. Corey, starting with Leviathan Wakes. With over 7 million copies sold, a quote from George R.R. Martin, and a TV show adaptation that did really, really well, this series is just one of the most popular modern day sci-fi series. This is a murder mystery series where humanity has colonized the solar system. And we follow Jim Holden, who accidentally, him and his team come across this ship that holds a secret. This is the type of secret that people would kill for. And we also have Detective Miller, who's looking for a girl, and that trail leads him right to this ship. This does have some political machinations going on in the background with this possible oncoming war and trying to navigate all the different forces that are in the galaxy. This is a completed series of 9 books and it is just majorly popular. Now, I know there are a ton of other really popular sci-fi books that just didn't quite fit the list for me personally. Again, this is only based on my personal opinion of what I've seen most recommended. If you have a series that you think has been more recommended than one on this list, please let me know down in the comments below, because I have a massive list of potential honorable mentions that could have made it onto this list. I feel like The Martian or Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir should really have got a position on this list, but I don't know what to swap it out for. So it's definitely a hard one. But let me know some of your favorite sci-fi series in the comments below. And if you want to see a fantasy version of this list, definitely check out this video here. Thank you very much for watching. These books are truly out of this world.